Tonight we have a case that comes to us from Fort Myers, Florida, from WFTX, involving a 19-year-old named Gage Jackson who went missing. Then his body was found in a creek.
Investigators say whoever killed Gage Jackson is still free, and now is the time to come forward with any answers that could finally close this case.
This is crazy.
Randy and Heather Jackson sat down exclusively with Fox 4 when their son Gage Jackson went missing in March 2019. Before Heather knew what happened to Gage, her mother's intuition kicked in.
I think that something has to be wrong, seriously wrong.
And there was. A week after this interview, the 19-year-old's body was found in Prairie Creek in Punta Gorda. No arrests have been made, but investigators say somebody knows who's responsible for Jackson's death. And now they're asking for tips that could lead to an arrest and conviction.
This didn't just happen to Gage randomly.
Trish Rout with Southwest Florida Crime Stopper says today the cash reward for answers has grown to $103,000 thanks to a recent anonymous donation.
Someone needs to be held accountable for their actions in Gage's death.
Rout says those closest to Jackson know who that someone is, but they're keeping quiet when it counts most.
People within his inner circle are definitely, they have more information than they've been sharing with law enforcement up to this point. The information that certain individuals in this community have is absolutely critical and pivotal in making sure that we finally get justice for Gage.
All right, folks, if you have any information, please call the Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers, 1-800-780-TIPS, 1-800-780-TIPS. And remember, huge incentive, not just to do the right thing, $103,000. And I think that amount of money's been put up there because people know that someone knows and needs to pick up the phone, make that call, give that information, because this family and investigators need an answer and some sense of justice for what happened to this 19-year-old back in 2019. Let's bring in our special guest. Joining us now by phone, retired crime lab director for the San Diego Police Department, Jennifer Shen, is with us. Jennifer, great to have you back on the program.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Let's start with the scene. Apparently, Gage was found in a creek. So investigators get there, crime scene investigators. What are they going to do, and what are they looking for there at the scene?
You know, it's a really difficult crime scene when you have a body that's been in the water for a significant period of time. You know, there's a loss of evidence that goes on, and that makes it a little more difficult to find information that can help, solve that crime. So they are going to attempt to find any evidence on the body still, whether that's, a cause of death, which we still don't know about, whether it's, some sort of transfer evidence, something tangled in his hair, something on his body. But you're also going to be looking for how that body got into that body of water. Did it, where was he pushed in off a boat, pushed off the side? Is there any information on the side? I think it was a creek. If there's any information around that area that can show you how the body was placed there. All of those ingress, egress points can give you some information that might help you solve the crime.
So how much of this, let's say, for example, someone does come forward and they come up with some information and someone tells them how all of this happened, okay? Let's just say that happens. Can forensic investigators then take another look at the evidence to see if what the witness who's coming forward matches with the actual evidence?
That's a really great question. And oftentimes investigators will keep all the information they have very close to the vest, partially because they want to make sure if someone comes forward with information or confesses or says, gives information about someone else having done this crime, they want to make sure that the evidence they have matches up with what that witness is saying. So that is exactly what they do. If someone came forward and confessed or gave information, they would look at the evidence they have and see if that is a story that makes sense to them.
How close do you think they'll be able to get to time of death? I mean, you always want to put together some level of a timeline to try to figure this thing out. But when someone's been found in a creek. How difficult do you think it will be to determine exactly when Gage was killed?
Yeah, you know, it is tough to determine time of death. I mean, obviously, you've got a window of from the time that he was last seen to the time that his body was found. And then sometimes you can look at the condition of the body. Sometimes you can look at, you know, activity, like insect activity, rigor mortis. There's all sorts of things that you can look at to determine time of death. But when someone has been immersed in a body of water, it just throws a lot of that stuff right out the window. And you may only really be able to get that time down to, you know, within that 11-day period. And that's not very accurate, obviously.
And ultimately, do you think this is a case where the break comes forensically or through some witness?
I think this is a case where I think if there was forensic evidence to be had that could help solve this crime, I think it would have happened, or we would have been farther. There have been more information. So I think this is a case where the more money there is out there as a reward, someone's finally going to decide it's worth it, because it seems to me that people think that his circle has more information than they're giving, so that they want to really, you know, get those people to come forward and give some information to help break this case.
Again, $103,000. There was an anonymous donor to Crime Stoppers for information leading to solving this case. Jennifer Shen, former director of San Diego Crime Lab, always great to have in the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
And folks, we've also posted this online, so be sure to share this story so we get the word out. And again, it's clear, they wouldn't just say that. I think they might have some information leading them to believe that there are people who know what happened here. And whether or not it's second-degree hearsay, third-degree hearsay, doesn't matter. You got the information. Make the call. The number's there on the screen.